3-point game.
Too far.
Here's Love for the tie. Oh!
Sport.
3-point game.
Man,
Beautiful.
and that's how it went
shot.
down. That's how it went down last night to force the game to overtime in Arizona. Caleb Love, the former Tar Heel himself, hitting the big Tracy to send it to free basketball, and then they went and smoked them in the overtime session. Quite an ending to a Monday night, if I do say so myself. After some weird shenanigans in the game before, but man, Spin, we are back. College Hoops RX, second episode live on YouTube. If you are on Twitter, make sure you join using the YouTube link. Drop your comments in the chat section. Any questions you might have for the slate, make sure you drop them in there. Spin, what's the deal, man? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, that was fun, man. Little bleary eyed because I stayed up for that whole thing last night because we were live betting it in VIP too. And I said yesterday it wouldn't surprise me if Arizona won it all. I said yesterday if you gave me a free play on the game, I think Arizona wins. That wasn't the way I expected them to win, but that was a heck of a finish. Look. The thing that I'll say about Arizona, especially on their home floor, is that they are really, really tough to beat on their home floor. And their crowd, the atmosphere, and the first half of that game the whole game pretty much was a slugfest. So the fact that they even got the over, I feel very, very happy about because both of those teams were just beating the hell out of each other early. Refs were letting them play, weren't calling a whole lot of fouls. The thing that Arizona did really well and what actually grinded them back into that game was, and I said this in VIP, chucking early threes works for a bunch of teams. It doesn't work for Arizona. I said it on the show yesterday. They don't have many dead-eye three-point shooters. They have guys where if you get them the ball in space off of a rotation, they can knock down the jump shot. But guys shooting early threes off the dribble, not their game. And that's what they were doing early in the game. 10 of their first, 19 shots were from deep, and they were early. They were in the first 5 or 7 seconds of the shot clock. So second half, they made adjustments. And I mean, Iowa State's we said yesterday, Iowa State is straight up legit. This is going to be a 1 seed or a 2 seed. They have a legit chance to go to the Final Four. They actually have a chance to win the national championship, I think. But Arizona is so tough to beat on their home floor. Their only loss since December 14th remains at Texas Tech, where they actually led until the last 5.5 minutes of the game. So this is an Arizona team that you really want to watch because until they get ranked, which they're probably going to be after this week, I think that you can still find some value on them from a betting perspective. And yeah, going back to the first one, so annoying, lose by the hook. Ohio State, few offensive lapses in the first half, few easy shots that they missed, leading up to the fact that, they had 79 or something like that, or 80 points with a minute and a half left. But the problem was they were ahead by too much. So Iowa couldn't foul and they had no reason to score. So it was a brutal loss, but that's kind of how college basketball goes, right? Is that we had a brutal beat in the first game, and then we get some positive regression in the second one with the half court shot that allowed us to cash the over. So 1-1 split. Given how the night went, that's fine. I'll take it. If you took some of the other leans that I gave out, like if you I gave out the lean of Ohio State covering, which they did. I gave out Arizona winning, which they did. So if you took some of those other leans, some of those other looks that we had, you probably finished up or you finished even or close to it. But funny. When Love hit that shot, I actually just kind of sat. I didn't even react. I just kind of sat there and I was like, huh. I have
very reserved feelings when it comes to him. Obviously leaving North Carolina and COVID making it so that players can play in college basketball till they're 30 fucking 5 and 401k. I like the kid. I'm happy to see him. I'm happy to see him, flourish, I guess, or end his career well. He didn't get it done done at North Carolina. Obviously, got close, but ultimately, it's about winning. And I think now we're seeing kids just go to schools because they're going to give them a lot of money. And shout out to him making a big shot to send the game to overtime. But in my opinion, he can kick rocks. Fuck that kid. So it ain't personal, but it's personal, It's one of those types of deals.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, nice. A big slate today.
Pretty big slate. Decent games.
Yeah, some decent games.
Sorry. One more thing about yesterday. Even though we didn't talk about it, I got to give a shout out for those of you that have followed me. I love Towson. We are on an absolute roll right now. Won again last night at Northeastern. And this is a team where even if you don't follow the CAA, this is a team where you can probably still find a little bit of value betting because we won our 6th game in a row last night. And the thing with Towson is that they were projected to win the Coastal. I was going to say Colonial. That's what it used to be called, the Coastal, at the start of the season because we're the only team in the conference to have all 5 starters returning. The problem is that we had 3 of those starters out with injury along with 2 other bench guys. Everybody's back. Everybody's healthy. Been gelling. The defense looked phenomenal. Only allowed 65 points last night. So if you're looking for a mid-major to bet on, and I say this with no bias, seriously, I think that you can actually still find some value with Towson because their overall record doesn't indicate it. They're only 12 and we're only 12 and 9 because we had such a brutal start early in the year. We played some pretty big teams. We played some power conference teams with almost like nobody of our regular rotation, but we got everybody back now. We're heading into the stretch run in conference. And this is something that Coach Pat Scarry does in that right around this mid to late January time goes on a run where we can easily rattle off 8-9 wins in a row. So next time we play, which is later this week, I am firmly looking to back my Tigers. So as a fan, I'm happy. And as a bettor, I think you can find value. So sorry, go ahead.
No worries. Listen, any first-time viewers, every chance he gets to make Towson information shown, you're going to get it. You just got to shut the fuck up and just hear it out because he's been right about them every year since I've met him. So he knows everything about them. And obviously I'm the same way when my team's good. When they're ass, I mean, kind of just skate on by talking about them, one in through air, one out the other, But like I said, we do have a big slate today. We're getting to 3 games that you love. And first and foremost, what we'll get into is Toledo at Ohio. We got Ohio laying 2.5 at the crib with an over-under of 161.5. This is Maction, right?
Maction, yep.
You love to see it. It ain't Thursday night football. It's Tuesday night hoops.
It is.
And I'm sure you're about to let us know everything you love about this matchup and what is the play.
All right. So a couple of things about the Bobcats, Ohio, is first of all, they're undefeated at home this year. They've had a lot of struggles on the road, including if you look at just recent history, they've lost 2 of their last 3. Both of those have been on the road. And the thing that fails them at home or on the road that they do so well, much better at home is 2 things. One is shooting jump shots. 2 is defending them. So you compare their home road splits and you see this is an Ohio team that shoots 59.6% effective field goal percentage on their home floor. That actually is one of the top marks in the country for teams on their home floor. It's very, very few teams shoot over 60% anywhere effective field goal percentage. You compare that to a 49.9% road mark, and you can see why they've had some struggles. You have a Toledo team who has the opposite split. They're average shooting the basketball right around 50%, a little bit below average, but on the road, that goes down under 49. They've had multiple games under 45. So the big thing, though, is that you look at Ohio's defense, and if you look at the past few games, you'll see that Akron put up 92 on them. You'll see that Eastern Michigan, who's not a very good offense in general, put up 94 on them. So you might think, well, man, their defense is just ass. Well, it is, but it is on the road. On their home floor, again, this goes back to the home road splits. So 52.3% allowed for the year, but at home on the road, 55.7, which would be one of the worst marks in college basketball. At home, 46.8, which actually would rank in the top 25. This is a different team on their home floor. This is a team that has won, again, every home game this year. The other thing that they do very, very well is they don't turn the ball over. They're top 100 in turnover rate against a Toledo defense where on the road has a forced turnover margin that is almost sub 300. So Toledo doesn't shoot the ball as well on the road. Toledo doesn't defend as well on the road. And you have an Ohio team where this is one of the tougher places in the MAC to play. The MAC with 1A, not 2, not my MAC. But this is a really, really tough place to play. And so when you give me that and you give me a very, very short spread with minus 2.5, less than one possession, I will take the Bobcats here. I will take the Bobcats at minus 2.5. I think that you can take it up to 3, maybe even 3.5 if you really want. But I can see Ohio winning this game by 4 or 5, maybe even 6 points because of their incredible offensive efficiency on their home floor. And while their defense isn't going to break records, they do have a much better defense at home. The other thing that they have on their home floor is a stat called floor percentage. If you don't know what floor percentage is, it's the total percentage of possessions that a team gets at least a point, some kind of scoring, free throw, three, doesn't matter, some kind of points. And Ohio on their home floor, 52.9% of their possessions end in points, and that would actually rank in the top 25 of all college basketball teams. Toledo, on the other hand, on the road, a much, much different story. They are almost sub 50% for being able to score on the road. So you give me all that, you give me a short spread, I will take Ohio with minus 2.5. If you gave me a free play on the total, which I have no official look on, I would take Ohio's team total over, and I don't have that right in front of me. I'm looking on DraftKings right now, and it's probably going to be in the 80s.
I have FanDuel up on the screen.
Oh,
so
sorry, sorry.
Team total, right?
Yeah, 80.5, I think it is.
There it is. Yep. It's on
yeah.
the screen.
If you want an extra action on the game, Ohio team total over 80.5. Their team total in the first half is probably what would be more interesting if you want to look on the total, over 37.5 for that one. I think that you can also take a look at Ohio first half as well. First half money line, it's a little juicy at like minus 125, minus 130. But either way, if you only want to play one thing for this game, Ohio full game spread, don't overcomplicate it and try to get cute. Just minus 2.5, easy.
For sure. And on to the next game. Next game we're going to get into is the Dayton Flyers taking on the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. You love 8-10 hoops, right? It's Atlantic 10. I do.
Okay, I do like 8-10 hoops.
And we got Dayton laying 1.5 on the road with a total of 135.5. What are you liking in this one?
All right, so it's been a rocky road for the Bonnies lately. They started off just absolutely white hot up until right until after the first of the year. They'd only lost one game on a neutral floor to Utah State. It's been a little bit of a different story since then. They've lost 5 of their last 6. And the only win was against Richmond at home. But for several of those games, one in particular, they didn't have leading scorer Chance Moore. Moore averages 14.5 points per game. He is their floor leader. He's a senior. And doesn't really shoot the 3 exceptionally well, but rebounds exceptionally well. Leader averages 7 rebounds a game, actually close the last few games that's been closer to 10. And so for me, for this one, this is a Bonnies team that needs a win in the worst possible way. And this this goes against the recent history so far. But I will take the Bonnies on this one on the money line, and I'll tell you why. So first of all, I talk about home road splits again, and you talk about St. Bonaventure, and St. Bonaventure's defense on their home floor is just miles better than their defense anywhere else. So now getting back with their full complement of players, only allowing 48.3% effective field goal percentage on their home floor would be top 80 in the country. And they're facing a Dayton team who runs a reasonably effective, pretty effective offense, but does have some home road splits as well. Their road shooting is about 3 to 4% worse than their home shooting. The other thing that Dayton has here too is that they don't rebound very well they actually don't rebound very well, period. It's one of their weaknesses, especially on the offensive end. They're sub 200 in offensive rebound percent. I talked about Chance Moore being back. St. Bonaventure, the one thing that's even held constant, even during this losing streak, is that when you miss a shot, they make you pay for it, and they don't allow second chances. So 21st overall in offensive rebound percentage at 25.4%. They have multiple guys that rank very highly individually for offensive rebounds. And the other thing is on their home floor, St. Bonaventure with a 51.4% total rebound rate. Their overall rebound rate ranks 72nd in the country. So you give me a St. Bonaventure team that their recent record or recent results is not as indicative of who they are as a team. You also give me a Dayton team where, yes, they've won 3 in a row, but 2 of those were on their home floor. One was the conference bottom feeder this year, Loyola Chicago, and one of them was against a Duquesne team that's 9-11 and is really, really struggling. And you look past that, and you look prior to that, they lost at UMass. They lost at George Washington by 20. They lost on a neutral floor against Cincinnati. They lost multiple teams away from home. So this is a spot where I think we can get some value on a home money line. So right now the money line is sitting right around plus 108, plus 110, somewhere in that area. I will take the plus money, and I will take St. Bonaventure to win the game.
Let's get it.
And actually, before we move on, it's another point of emphasis that I want to make just for betting in general, is that if you're looking at a college basketball game like this, and especially a conference game, and you have a short home dog, when I say short, I mean like under 3, typically like -2.5, -1.5, somewhere around there. There's so much more value in just taking the money line. The number of times where that happens, and I don't have stats to back this up, I just have like my eye test or my win test
personal experience.
Yeah. Is that the number of times that the dog just wins outright versus covers but doesn't win? If you're going to take them, just take them on the money line. Avoid paying the juice. It's what I always tell people. Don't pay juice, or don't put juice at risk if you don't have to. And a short home dog are the perfect spots to not have to pay juice, because more often than not, if they're going to cover, they're going to win. So that's why I like the money line in this one instead, because I certainly think it's going to win, but even if it fails, you also save a little bit on the juice. You do that multiple times over and over again, because nobody wins at 100%, is that money that you save by doing that adds up real fast.
For sure. Third and final game we're going to get into is an SEC matchup between the 14-5 Kentucky Wildcats, and I was just looking at it. We got a 17-3 number 8 ranked Tennessee team. Obviously, Rick Barnes is our friend. We know when to fade him. He's the most fadeable in certain moments in probably ever in the history of college basketball. Laying 9.5 at the crib, which up to 9.5. You have it at 8.5 on the banner, and a total of 148.5. I do like what Pope has done as far as installing players that are experienced and giving the program stability to some extent. I guess not that Kentucky wasn't stable with Calipari, but it didn't translate into winning, and he didn't get fired. He quit on him. So great. I think Pope's done a great job. Barnes tonight, again, laying 9.5 at the crib. I'm pretty sure I know where this is going.
No, actually, I don't think you do. I'm backing Rick Barnes tonight, and here's why.
No, I did. I knew you were going.
Oh, okay.
I knew you were going that way. Yeah. They're at the
sorry.
Okay.
Sure,
yeah.
Yeah. For those that know me, I love fading Bill Self and I love fading Rick Barnes, but I typically love fading them in March. I can't do that tonight with Rick Barnes after a stellar start under Pope, and I give this guy all the credit because he came in and basically took over a team that was that lost all their one and dones, lost their coach, was totally, I don't want to say rebuilding because Kentucky doesn't really rebuild, but kind of was for them. It got off to a very, very stellar start. But after that, the Cats have lost 3 of their last 5. This is a tough spot for them because Lamont Butler, who's their leading scorer, shoots 40% from deep, is already out with a shoulder injury. And Andrew Carr he's listed as questionable, but if you listen to Mark Pope's radio show, it was interesting because he said Carr's battling a back injury, and his exact quote was, "Progress isn't being made," which doesn't sound good. He missed the game against Vanderbilt. Then the other part of that was he got asked about those comments and then said something to the effect of like he won't play, but walked it back and said, well, we'll have to see. Well, it depends on how he's feeling. It doesn't sound good. And it actually sounds, the other thing that he said was, he said that from a timeline perspective, he said week to week, and then immediately caught himself and said, I mean, day to day. And it's like, okay, well, all these comments don't give me a lot of confidence that Carr is going to play, or even if he does, how effective he will be. Here's why that matters in this game. The one weakness that Kentucky has is their interior defense. They have big guys, but they have only a few big guys that are skilled defensively on the interior. And Carr's actually one of the ones. Kentucky's 2-point defense is already sub 200. Their interior defense is sub 200 in field goal percentage allowed. The loss of Carr will hurt this even more. And then you take away Butler, who is one of their top 3-point threats. And you have a Tennessee team that has the number 1 ranked 3-point defense in the country. It's better at home. They allow under 25% from deep on their home floor. Whether you hate Rick Barnes or not, or like me with Rick Barnes, that's incredible. That's especially incredible when you play in the SEC. So without Carr, Kentucky will have to rely on the 3 more. Without Butler, they're going to have to rely on other guys more. Tennessee can funnel their defense to those other shooters. Tennessee also has the number 1 ranked home effective field goal percentage defense, and they're also 8th in the country in offensive rebound percentage. It gets even better at home. Their offensive rebound percentage is just absolutely stellar. 38.9% overall, over 40% of their missed shots, they get an offensive rebound on their home floor. And that does not pair very well with a Kentucky team that's going to be missing their top big man with Carr. So even if Kentucky is forcing misses, you can potentially expect some second chance points there. And the last thing that Kentucky doesn't do well is, which if you're not going to get second chance points, if you're not going to be able to defend on the interior, one of the other things that you can do to get easy points is to force turnovers. Cats don't do that either. 14.4% turnover rate, which is 355th in the country. And Tennessee takes care of the ball at home, being in the top 100 in overall turnover rate. So, it's not that I'm sitting here thinking that like Rick Barnes is going to put on this like masterclass in coaching and outcoach Pope and outfox him, because that's just not how I roll with Rick Barnes. But Kentucky is just in a bad spot tonight with Carr and with Butler. Carr probably and Butler for sure out. There's just too many weapons and too many different things that Tennessee, I think, can do. So this line is kind of rocketing up right now. I know I have 8.5 on the banner. It's already up to 9.5. You might be able to get 9 in some places. I can easily see Tennessee winning this game by 12 to 13 points, quite honestly, just because I'm not sure that Kentucky is going to be able to find enough offense when you have a team like Tennessee that defends and prevents the 3 so well. versus the team that is at 43.3% of their shots. 42.8% of their shots are threes, which is top 90 in the country. I'm just not sure where they're going to find enough offense for this one. So too many things against them. So Tennessee minus 9.5, -9, -10, somewhere in that area. Anything along that area is fine. If you wanted to play on the total for this one, I think that you can look at the Tennessee team total over. Just because of what I mentioned about the Kentucky interior defense, which is kind of subpar to begin with, and now likely won't have Carr. So again, too many things working against the Cats tonight.
For sure. I got one dog that I like tonight. I'm going with Butler in the first half plus 3.5. Games at Hinkle. You know how I feel about games that are played there. I not only like Butler to cover the first half 3.5. I like the game to go under. It is an under spot in my opinion. I know they're playing Marquette. I know Marquette can start, running up and down the floor. It's a 6.5-point spread for the game. But that's my only look for tonight that I love is a dog. As far as a dog, I don't really bet a lot of favorites. I'm not a chalk guy when it comes to college basketball. I think that when you try to exclusively bet chalk in college basketball, that's how you get fucked. So I try not to do that. Other than that, not too much else on today's slate. We'll have some stuff on the timeline for the people. Make sure you guys like the video. That's the thumbs up on the screen. And yeah, I think that's everything. Make sure you guys are following Spin Doc Sports on X, Sosa Picks on X, and make sure you're subscribed to Daily Bread Dash Network on YouTube. Appreciate you all, and yeah, fuck with us. Anything else before we get up out of here, Spin?
No, just there's a lot of good games tonight. Just a couple other ones that I'm probably going to be watching to get some potential live plays is later tonight. I think that you can look at BYU and Baylor probably has some value for a potential live play. I think that the other one, I know that so I don't give it out because I'm like Sosa. I don't take big chalk typically just for major conference, but I think that Michigan State minus 13.5 or 13, whatever it is against the Gophers. Gophers, especially under Ben Johnson, just terrible history in the Breslin Center. Michigan State is absolutely rolling right now. Minnesota is coming off of a pretty successful little stretch where they won at Iowa. They beat Oregon at home, but this is a different animal. Gophers have struggled in the Breslin Center for a long time. So you can look at first half for that one potentially. So, just if you wanted another look for tonight, that would be where I would go. And I just say that because obviously I'm from there and I just know the history that we have going over to Sparty. So other than that, yeah, best of luck if tailing. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we will see y'all tomorrow.
Peace.
Yep.